Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just saved the DCEU. Kind of. He depends on how you look at it. And yeah, this has to do with Henry Cavill coming back to the DCEU, seemingly not just for an appearance in Black Adam, but for other DC projects after that. But we need to talk about that. And in order to do this properly, I'm going to have to get into the leaks and spoilers. So yeah, if you don't want to know anything about rumors, leaks, and things of that nature, get off of this video. But you probably know that's where we were headed with this, as the major leak and rumor, of course, is that Henry Cavill himself will be in the Black Adam movie. And I need to talk about that because it is absolutely crazy and it is awesome. But there's a reason that a lot of DC fans are not loving it and very skeptical at what Warner Brothers has planned for the DCEU. And so we're going to talk about this thing that The Rock did behind the scenes and why it's so crazy. Then we're going to talk about why some DC fans just really aren't that pumped about it, especially with some of the other aspects that we're hearing of the DCU plan, including the Flash movie. And then we're going to talk about, like, really why all of this might not matter at all and why DC seems to be on this endless loop of bullcrappery.
I was also listening to the fans at the same time, where you have Black Adam. We will create Black Adam for him to be the most powerful and unstoppable force on this planet. The most powerful and unstoppable force in the entire universe has been on the sidelines for too long.
But let's start with the good stuff. Let's start with Henry Cavill's Superman. The impossible has happened, and this did happen mostly because of The Rock. As I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, The Rock did get Warner Brothers to have Henry Cavill in the Black Adam movie in a post-credit scene.
It's not just a folder, it's a rock.
And I want to be super crystal clear about this because now, according to the internet, I'm one of the best scoopers out there. Have no idea how that happened, but let's go. As far as I'm aware, this is a recent development. This isn't something that was working on behind the scenes. This really did come together kind of last minute, and it had a lot to do with Dwayne Johnson. And I know many of you guys that watch the streams or have watched other videos know I'm not a big fan of The Rock, and that's true. I'm not a fan of him. But you got to give props where props are due, and he literally made this happen. This seemed to be impossible. Warner Brothers did not want Henry Cavill back at all. Henry Cavill was very open to coming back, but he wanted more than just cameo appearances. He wanted to actually come back and have a sequel. And so you got to give props to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson here because he did make this happen, seemingly lobbying heavily to get Henry Cavill back into the DCEU and convincing Warner Brothers to do it. But now I have to go even deeper down the spoiler road, because now we have a pretty good idea of what this post-credit scene will actually be about. And according to My Time to Shine, this is going to be a post-credit scene where Amanda Waller sends somebody after Black Adam that is not from this planet, and that ends up being Superman. So Superman will then show up and say something like, "It's been a long while since somebody made Earth this nervous. Black Adam, we need to talk and also fight in your sequel." And in addition to those details, we know that Superman will be in a traditional looking Superman costume, red and blue, and in fact, it might look more like the traditional Christopher Reeve Superman than what you saw in the Justice League and Man of Steel movies. And we even know that it's going to be the Christopher Reeve Superman theme that John Williams created a long time ago that will play during this post-credit scene. But now let's talk about why DC fans hate this, or at least some fans hate this, mostly the Snyder fans. And of course, the Snyder fans don't like this for a couple of different reasons. Number one, Superman, if this is indeed going to be the Superman from the Zack Snyder Justice League universe or continuity, he will have the black suit. They also think that it's crazy that Superman would not have the Hans Zimmer theme from Man of Steel, as it is iconic and a part of the Henry Cavill Superman DNA. On top of that, it's ridiculous that Amanda Waller would have any control over Superman whatsoever and be able to send him anywhere. And really, this is what it is, man. I've thought a lot about this, and I've thought about all the different news bits, rumors, leaks, and things that are coming out there. And the reality of the situation is a lot of people that are in the Snyder fan base are unable to accept that Warner Brothers does not actually want to restore the Snyderverse. And because Warner Brothers won't just come right out and say that, and they're just trying to sort of use elements from Zack's stuff and try to just pretend like it's all okay and this continuity will make sense, I think the Snyder fans are left with this false hope, which is part of the reason why they're so aggressive and disappointed when anything that goes against the narrative that they think is happening is presented. So that's why they don't like the Christopher Reeve suit, the Christopher Reeves music. They don't like that at all. They want it to be a continuation of Zack's stuff. And it's to the point where it now seems like Henry Cavill will absolutely be in the Flash movie and be a part of the sort of soft rebooted universe at the end of the Flash, and yet still the Snyder fans are not excited about it. They're like, what is going on? You're not going to have Ben Affleck Batman. You're not just simply restoring the Snyderverse. Then what is happening? And this is all amplified anytime a big rumor comes out. Let me give you an example. So a big rumor recently came out from Daniel Richtman that Joe Manganiello will be coming back to the role of Deathstroke in a future DC project. Well, immediately every Snyder fan thought, wow, he's going to come back and do that rumored movie or series with Ben Affleck's Batman, as that was something that was rumored a long time ago, right? It's sort of set up at the end of Batman v Superman. You know, you're going to have friggin' Lex Luthor maybe sharing that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and that makes Deathstroke go after Bruce Wayne or something like that. That's been long-standing as a rumor, but that's absolutely not happening. In fact, according to a lot of the good scoopers out there, they still want Michael Keaton as Batman. And so the Flash movie is still going to soft reboot everything, and you're going to still have a new Flash because Warner Brothers is done with Ezra. Like, regardless of how they handled the Flash movie itself, they're not working with Ezra past this film. That's been reported by several different people. So you're going to have a different Flash. You're still going to have Supergirl from that Flash timeline be in the Justice League. You're going to have Henry Cavill Superman, which is awesome. But again, it appears to not actually be the Superman from Zack Snyder's continuity. You'll still have Aquaman. You'll still have Wonder Woman, who are making cameos in different things like they did on the Peacemaker show. Wonder Woman is heavily rumored to be in Shazam. But you're not going to have Ben Affleck's Batman. And apparently Ben Affleck's Batman may be sort of lost in time, and they may set him up to return during Crisis or to be a part of what leads DC to Crisis, because as far as we know, that was something that they were planning originally. And when I say originally, like, it's lost all sense of meaning when it comes to DC because they just keep changing things and then walking things back. But you will recall that when the Flash leaks, the plot leaks for that film really were hitting the web last year. It was established that the plan for Warner Brothers was to move ahead with an older Michael Keaton Batman, no Superman, and instead you would have Supergirl. You would have Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, being the actual, like, on the streets Bat person. You'd still have Gal Gadot Wonder Woman. You'd still have Jason Momoa Aquaman. And you would have probably still had Ezra Miller Flash, but now you're going to get a whole new Flash. And that plan, even back then when they had that idea, there was a post-credit scene at the end of the Flash movie that was going to tease Ben Affleck's Batman being lost out there in the multiverse, and then perhaps they were building towards a Crisis event. So again, despite this massive W, this huge win for DC with Dwayne actually getting Henry Cavill to come back and be a part of whatever this new DC plan is, a lot of DC fans are not loving it. They don't like it. They're like, dude, this isn't even Zack Snyder stuff. What are they doing with Keaton Batman? That all seems really weird. And there's a lot of people sort of denying that this is even happening and thinking that the Snyderverse is going to be brought back. And you can see that all of this trouble kind of stems from the fact that Warner Brothers won't just be clear or upfront with everybody about what's happening. And I want to sort of now talk about why all of this is way worse than it seems, and we really cannot be confident about anything DC is doing, and that is the fact that the rumor around Hollywood that seems to be very prevalent is that Warner Brothers and the DC properties will be sold off once again, this time to NBC Universal in 2024. And even though Zaslav has come out and said that's not true, that is the same thing that all the other CEOs said before a merger happened or before those properties were sold. It has happened over and over and over again with Warner Brothers and the DCEU. And so what I think, like, my idea of what's actually going on right now is that these two people, like Pam Abdullah and some other person, I forget their names, I'm sorry, I honestly don't even give a shit enough to look it up, but you probably know who I'm talking about. There's these two people that, despite the chaos of Zaslav, Toby Emmerich leaving, and all these different people like Hamada leaving, these two folks are actually still remaining and in charge of DC Films. It seems to me like they are saying, well, let's do the best we possibly can with what we currently have in the DCEU and at least make it to 2024. And then it's probably not our problem anymore. And, the new ownership can decide, hey, let's keep on this trail here or completely reboot. And I think that will be sort of dependent upon how successful the movies are for the next couple of years. And I have mixed feelings about this. Okay. So first of all, I thought Zaslav was going to come in, do a total reboot, and I was actually excited for that prospect. Like, let these movies do their thing and fade away, and then you reboot. That doesn't appear to be happening, and so instead, it seems like DC Films is trying to bolster the strength of this slate of movies, including Black Adam, including Shazam, including Aquaman 2, by having somewhat of a put-together popsicle sticks with scotch tape sort of plan, and they're expecting that the hype that could be generated by Cavill coming back, by Wonder Woman doing a cameo, maybe doing another movie with her, that hype will sustain the lack of actual plan and continuity here for the next couple of years. And I can totally understand why, as a DC fan, this just isn't good enough, and they certainly don't have anybody over there with the vision that Zack Snyder had. But I don't know how many other ways I can say this. Zack Snyder is never coming back to DC. That's not going to happen. Those bridges have been completely burned, and he's literally building Star Wars over at Netflix, who already greenlit his second Rebel Moon film. There's no way he's coming back to DC. So what you have now is remnants of Zack's DC with new leadership and people like The Rock that come in and basically make Black Adam into a vanity project. He doesn't care about comic book lore continuity at all, but he does at least understand that fans want Henry Cavill back. And so as a DC fan, I think you've kind of just got to decide, well, what do you want? Do you want Henry Cavill back? Do you want to see more Henry Cavill Superman? And if you can accept that back as a good thing without a vision that Zack had and understanding that that's not actually the Snyderverse being restored, then I think you'll probably be okay. If you can't accept that, then you're probably going to hate everything that happens in the next couple of years. And honestly, I can't really blame you for that either. Now, where I'm personally at with this, and maybe it's because I've already kind of given up hope on DC, is I love the fact that Henry Cavill's back. I absolutely love the fact that he's going to be in the Flash movie, and you might see more movies with him, as yes, I do believe he has signed a deal to not only be in Black Adam 2, but to do another Man of Steel or Superman movie, and I definitely think that's happening. Heard it from several different people, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be Zack Snyder stuff. It's not going to have actual vision. It's not going to have continuity. I mean, for God's sakes, the Justice Society of America has apparently been around this whole time in the DCEU now, and that's going to be explained. Waller's somehow in charge of them or has some kind of sway over Superman, can send him to Black Adam. Black Adam's friggin' backstory is completely changed from the comics, so it's like the Fox X-Men. The continuity is all over the place. So, look, you're either down with that and you're like, this is good enough, or you're not. But that's where we're at, guys. I'm personally going to go see Black Adam now because I love Henry Cavill Superman. I'm excited about more Henry Cavill Superman, but at the same time, I really wouldn't mind if Universal buys Warner Brothers in a couple of years and just completely reboots the whole thing. I'd be down for that as well. And bring in somebody with freaking vision who knows the comic books, please, and thank you very much. If you like this video and feel like you got informed, smash a like on it and make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we are continuing to give away a dope nerdy thing each month. And this month, it is the Reformed Mjolnir. So subscribe for a chance to win that. And if you want to watch more, why not check out this video I did about Doctor Doom and why the whole MCU is not ready for just how powerful this dude is.